What if your manager secretly wants to fast-track you, but your words keep you parked in place? Today you'll hear exactly how one professional flipped the script and earned a promotion in just 6 months, while most of her peers waited years. Before we start, type a quick comment. What's your biggest obstacle right now? Unclear expectations, low visibility, or fear of asking? Let me tell you a story. This is about Sarah. Real person, real situation. She was a mid-level project analyst at a growing tech company. Bright, diligent, dependable. Every quarter she heard some version of the same compliment. Solid work, keep it up. And every quarter the title on her email signature stayed exactly the same. She wasn't angry, she was invisible. She told me, "It feels like my work is good enough to use, but not clear enough to promote." If you've ever felt that, you're not alone. Around 83% of professionals do exactly what Sarah did at first. They wait for permission, hope someone notices, and accept a fuzzy, "we'll revisit later." By the end of this story, you'll know the one sentence that changed everything for Sarah, and you'll have the 4 steps she used to remove uncertainty and make yes feel safer than wait. Quarterly check-in day. Sarah sits down across from her manager, Dave. The room is quiet. You can almost hear the click of the HVAC turning on. Dave says, "Solid quarter, keep it up." Sarah says, "Thank you. I'm excited to keep contributing." Dave asks, "Anything else?" Sarah swallows and says, "I was wondering about growth opportunities." Dave smiles. "Absolutely, we value your work. Let's revisit later in the year." That was the whole loop. No path, no timeline, no decision. She left with a polite echo, words that sounded encouraging but didn't move anything. Here's where everything went wrong for her at that moment. First, she accepted her manager's frame. Dave set the altitude with later in the year. When you accept someone else's frame, you inherit their pace. Second, she asked a generic question. Growth opportunities is fog. The brain can't say yes to fog. Third, she made it about effort instead of outcomes. She referenced how hard she worked. Dave cared about reduced risk, cross-team adoption, and measurable revenue acceleration. Effort is admirable. Outcomes are promotable. That night, something changed. Sarah stopped telling herself the story that she wasn't the type of person who asks. She opened a blank page and wrote a new premise at the top. Promotions are decisions under uncertainty. My job is to remove uncertainty. If you absorb that one line, your career changes. We built a simple checklist called the 6-minute promotion script. Think about this like a pilot's checklist. Short, precise, designed to land the plane. 4 steps. First, prime the frame. She decided to speak as a peer in planning, not a passenger asking for a seat upgrade. Her exact line was, "I've been mapping my impact to our Q3 priorities. I'd like to align on the path to product operations manager within 6 months. Then she added social proof in a grounded way. 2 directors referenced our last rollout as a model for speed to value. I want to scale that. Second, surface the hidden criteria using labels and mirrors. She didn't argue. She listened in a way that pulls information. She said, "Sounds like there are specific milestones that make a promotion a safe decision." Then she mirrored his last 2 words. A safe decision. She labeled again. It seems like headcount timing, cross-team adoption, and risk are top of mind. Then mirrored, top of mind. When you label, the other person feels seen. When you mirror, they keep talking. Instead of guessing, you gather the checklist they already use. Third, make the value ledger, what we called impact math. 2 columns. Column A, costs of waiting. Column B, gains in 6 months. She didn't wave her hands. She named numbers. Costs of waiting. Delayed feature adoption. 8 to 10 lost client upsells, and dependency drag on team beta. 6-month gains. A standardized rollout playbook, 25% reduction in handoff errors, and $420,000 in projected upsell enablement. Then she invited correction rather than rejection. Where does this miss the mark for you? Fourth, use a calibrated close with a contingent contract. She asked, "What would need to be true by September 30th for you to feel comfortable promoting me to product operations manager?" She followed with, "What are the non-negotiables?" And, "If I hit those, how would we formalize next steps?" And then came the one sentence that shifted the ground under Dave's chair. "If I deliver these outcomes by September 30th, are you opposed to processing the promotion in the first October cycle?" Not will you, not can I, not would you. Are you opposed to? It gives them permission to say no to something unreasonable while yes becomes the path of least resistance. Before you hear the final 6-minute conversation, let's slow down inside her preparation, because this is the missing link for most people. Sarah rehearsed out loud, alone, walking in her apartment, holding a cup of tea like a microphone. She paced her breathing and practiced listening, not just talking. She wrote a 1-page summary of the path, but, importantly, she converted it into audio-friendly language she could read. Title, date, metrics, checkpoints, owners. She imagined objections ahead of time. She whispered them to herself so they'd lose their power. We might have a promotion freeze. Headcount timing is tough. Let's revisit in Q4. And for each one, she wrote a line that anchored her calm. For the promotion freeze, she practiced, it seems like budget timing, not performance, is the constraint. Then, what's the earliest cycle not affected by the freeze? And, how do we secure the decision now and attach it to that date? Notice the rhythm. Label, calibrated question, commitment to process. She also prepared a risk reversal promise. If I exceed the targets ahead of time, I'll onboard Team Beta so they inherit the new playbook at zero cost. She didn't intend to work for free. She intended to remove excuses. She also crafted a second example of impact math in case Dave asked for broader proof. She looked at a different project that had stalled due to rework. She wrote, if we standardize the QA checklist, we reduce retest cycles by 30%. That frees 1.5 engineer weeks per sprint, which we can reallocate to 2 client-visible features. 2 features in Q3 increases the probability of 3 enterprise upsells by the holiday window. She practiced saying that clearly, with a pause where the numbers land, so the meaning would stick. A week later, Finance sent a note about budget pressure. Not a freeze exactly, but a slowdown. Dave casually mentioned it in a hallway exchange. This used to make Sarah retreat. Now it activated her prep. She said, it seems like timing is shifting. What's the earliest cycle that remains clean? Dave said, probably October. Sarah said, great. Let's secure the decision against October and use monthly checkpoints to de-risk everything between now and then. She said it slowly, as if they were both moving a couch around a corner. No drama, just steady. Now the final conversation. 2 days later, Sarah sat down with Dave for what she called a 6-minute micro-meeting. She opened with this. Appreciate the time. I'll keep this tight. 6 minutes. That alone is credibility. People trust you when you limit yourself. Minute 1. She primed the frame. I've mapped my impact to Q3. I'm targeting Product Operations Manager by September 30th. 2 directors cited our rollout as a model for speed to value, and I want to scale that value across 3 teams. She didn't ask permission to talk about it. She declared the goal and invited collaboration. Minute 2, she surfaced criteria with labels and mirrors. Sounds like certain milestones would make this a safe decision. Dave nodded. Cross-team adoption and measurable quality improvements. Sarah mirrored. Measurable quality improvements? Dave said. Handoff errors down at least 20%, ideally more. Sarah labeled. Reducing errors reduces rework and accelerates revenue recognition. He said, exactly. Minute 3, she laid out impact math. Quick ledger. Costs of waiting. Slower adoption means 8 to 10 upsells likely miss Q3. Team Beta keeps dragging. Gains in 6 months. Standardized rollout playbook. 25% plus reduction in handoff errors. 420,000 in projected upsell enablement. Where does this miss the mark for you? Dave said, that's aligned. Add 2 external client references to validate the improvement. Sarah said, done. Minute 4, she converted talk to a path by reading her 1-page summary out loud. Path to Product Operations Manager. Target date September 30th. Metrics: a 25% reduction in handoff errors, the rollout playbook adopted by 3 teams, 2 external client references citing faster adoption. Checkpoints: monthly 15-minute reviews. Ownership: you as decision owner, me as driver, Priya as cross-team sign-off. I'm reading this, so we both hear the same words. Minute 5, she used the sentence: if I deliver these outcomes by September 30th, are you opposed to processing the promotion in the first October cycle? Dave paused long enough for silence to do its work. Then he said, no, I'm not opposed. Let's do monthly checkpoints. Minute 6, she anticipated the timing objection and neutralized it. If a budget slowdown affects processing, can we secure the decision now and attach it to the first unaffected October cycle? Dave said, fair. I'll confirm the earliest clean cycle with finance. Put this in an email. Let me give you the exact lines she used outside the meeting, because most promotions are 1 in follow-ups. Her message that afternoon read, Dave, thanks for the 6 minutes today. Summarizing our agreement. Target: promotion to product operations manager in the October cycle if the following are met by September 30th. 1. Handoff errors reduced by 25% or more. 2. Rollout playbook adopted by 3 teams. 3. 2 external client references citing faster adoption. Checkpoints: monthly 15-minute reviews. Ownership: you as decision, me as delivery, Priya as cross-team sign-off. If budget timing shifts, we secure the decision now and process in the first unaffected cycle. Are you opposed to this summary? She used that same calibrated phrase to make agreement easy. Over the next months, she executed. She kept her visibility disciplined and light. Every Monday, she sent a 90-second momentum note to Dave and the 2 directors she had mentioned. It read, shipped X, unblocked Y, forecasting Z impact by Q3. Where should I point this momentum next? That last question did 3 things at once. It implied consistency, invited alignment, and positioned her as someone who drives outcomes, not tasks. She also completed the stakeholder echo. She asked Priya and Mark for a 1-line description of the value they saw. What 1 line would you use to describe the impact of last week's rollout? She repeated those lines to Dave verbatim, not as bragging but as social proof. Here's how Priya and Mark framed the impact. Halfway through, a minor setback surfaced. Client adoption lagged in 1 pilot. Old Sarah would have defended or apologized. New Sarah labeled the concern. Sounds like adoption is uneven. She mirrored the client's phrase. Uneven. They said, training didn't stick. Sarah responded with a micro-offer. Would it help if we record a 3-minute first-day audio walkthrough that teams can play before their shift? They said yes. She delivered it the next day. The result wasn't magic, it was momentum. A week later, the pilot's usage curves rose and the client provided one of the 2 external references. At the 5-month mark, finance raised the slowdown again. Sarah had already neutralized the risk in their agreement, so she simply reconfirmed. It seems like the October cycle is still the earliest clean option. Dave said, yes. Sarah asked, is there anything that would make this feel even safer between now and then? Dave said, if you can show the second reference, it removes the last concern. Sarah smiled. I'm on it. 10 days later, she had it. 6 months after that 6-minute meeting, Sarah received the official letter. Promoted to product operations manager with a 14% increase in base and a one-time bonus tied to adoption metrics. The number mattered, yes, but what mattered more was the new story leadership told themselves about her. She had become a safe decision. What can you take from this and apply this week? 3 moves. First, don't seek permission. Define a path. Draft your path to roll on 1 page you can read aloud in a meeting. Include a date 6 months out, 1 quality metric, 1 adoption metric, and owners. Speak it slowly so both of you hear the same words. Here's the exact opening. I've been mapping my impact to our next quarter priorities. I'd like to align on the path to roll within 6 months. Second, translate effort into impact math. Use 2 columns, costs of waiting, and gains in 6 months. Make it concrete and talk in business-relevant terms. Try this. Costs of waiting, delayed adoption and dependency drag leading to X lost upsells. Gains in 6 months, standardized process, Y% error reduction, Z projected enablement. Then say, where does this miss the mark for you? Third, close with a contingent contract that converts fog into calendar. Ask, what would need to be true by date for you to feel comfortable promoting me to role? Ask, what are the non-negotiables? Then say, if I deliver these outcomes by date, are you opposed to processing the promotion in the next cycle? If budget timing becomes the obstacle, label it an anchor to the earliest clean cycle. It seems like budget timing, not performance, is the constraint. What's the earliest cycle not affected? How do we secure the decision now and attach it to that date? 2 actions you can take before Friday. Action 1. Draft your 1-page path and practice reading it out loud until the words sound like yours, not mine. Action 2. Book a 6-minute meeting with your manager. Put this 3-line agenda in the calendar description as spoken text. Proposed 6-month path to role. Your checklist. Are you opposed to formalizing contingent on outcomes? Short meetings force clarity and reduce avoidance. Let's pull the thread tight with a final, quick story loop. Remember earlier I told you that around 83% of professionals wait for permission? Sarah was in that group. She thought asking directly would make her that person. Here's what she learned. You don't need to be louder. You need to be clearer. Set the frame, surface the criteria, show the impact math, and close with a safe no. That's how you make yes easy. Next time you feel that familiar hesitation, borrow Sarah's exact opening line and just say it. I've been mapping my impact to our priorities. I'd like to align on the path to role within 6 months. It's your turn to be the safe decision. And now I want to hear from you. What's your biggest challenge? Unclear expectations, low visibility, or fear of asking? Share it, and then subscribe so you don't miss these weekly workplace persuasion tactics that help you move faster with less friction. Your 6-month path starts today.